Okay, let's dive right in. We are about to go on a journey into one of the most mysterious and honestly, one of the most influential ancient texts you might have never even heard of. It's a book with a secret history that could seriously change how you see, well, a lot of things. You know, have you ever thought about it? So many huge core concepts just seem to appear in the Bible without much of a backstory. Ideas like the resurrection of the dead or, the specific names and roles of angels and demons, they just kind of show up. It's a puzzle that has fascinated people for centuries. Well, the answer to that puzzle, that big missing piece, it might just be hidden inside the pages of this one single extraordinary book, a text that was lost to most of the Western world for more than 1,000 years. And that missing piece is the Book of Enoch. This thing is so foundational that scholars today consider it absolutely essential if you want to understand the development of Judaism, Christianity, and even early Islam. So what is it exactly? Well, the Book of Enoch is this ancient religious text, and tradition says it was written by Enoch himself. The guy from the Book of Genesis who, it says, walked with God and was just taken from the earth without ever dying. And here's why this is such a big deal. This isn't just some obscure ancient book. It's the first known source we have for so many bedrock beliefs. The idea of a final judgment, the resurrection of the dead, giving specific names to angels and demons, and even that messianic title, the Son of Man, a phrase that's all over the New Testament. All of it appears first right here in the Book of Enoch. And yet, think about this. Despite being so unbelievably important, this book just vanished from Western traditions. Early church fathers quoted it, they knew about it, but then nothing, silence. For almost 1,500 years, everyone just assumed it was lost forever. So where was it, right? How did a text this foundational manage to survive? Well, the answer lies in one country that held on to it when pretty much the rest of the world forgot it even existed. And here is the incredible twist in the story. The Book of Enoch survived, fully intact, in only one ancient language, Ethiopic Jez. For centuries, while scholars in Europe were scrambling to find little fragments, the complete text was being carefully preserved, safe and sound, in the churches and monasteries of Ethiopia. You can just feel the passion in the words of Professor Ephraim Isaac, who is one of the top scholars and translators of this text. He just perfectly captures that national pride of being the sole guardians of this absolute treasure for all of humanity. So what's actually in this incredible book? What makes it so special? Well, it turns out it's not really one book, but a collection of 5, and each one has its own amazing stories and visions. So altogether, these 5 parts make up the whole Book of Enoch, and they cover everything from fallen angels and cosmic calendars to a sweeping history of the entire world, told through this really startling allegory. The first part, the Book of the Watchers, it tells this epic, wild story. It basically blows up a tiny cryptic verse in Genesis and describes a group of angels called the Watchers who came down to Earth and had kids, a race of giants, with human women. And according to Enoch, this is the real reason God sent the Great Flood. And what's so fascinating is that Enoch is one of the very first texts that gives us names and, job descriptions for these beings. We meet the heroes, like Michael and Gabriel, but we also meet the fallen angels, like their leader Samyaza, and another one, Azazel, who the book says taught humanity how to make weapons of war. Next up, the Book of Parables introduces this hugely important figure, the Son of Man. He's described as a heavenly, supernatural Messiah who sits on a throne of glory and judges the entire world. Sound familiar? That exact title is used for Jesus dozens and dozens of times in the New Testament. The connection is it's undeniable. Okay, so if you thought fallen angels and giants were a little out there, just get ready for one of the most unique and kind of strange parts of the entire book, a complete retelling of history as an animal allegory. Yeah, you heard that right. One section of the book lays out the entire history of Israel as a vision, but with this wild twist. Instead of people and nations, the whole story is told with animals. Adam and Eve, the Israelites, their enemies, everybody gets represented by a different creature. And when you break it down, it's just fascinating. So Adam and Eve are a bull and a cow. The people of Israel are represented as sheep. Their really powerful enemies, like the Babylonians, are lions. And get this, those fallen angels and their giant offspring, they're described as elephants and camels. I mean, it is a completely unique way to tell a historical and theological story. Okay, so this brings us to the big question, right? If the Book of Enoch was so important and so well known back then, I mean, it's even quoted in the New Testament, why on earth didn't it make it into the final cut for most Jews and Christians? Well, scholars have a few really good theories. First off, the content was just, well, it was weird. The stories of angels and giants made some early church leaders pretty nervous. They worried it was maybe even heretical. But the book also has this really fierce condemnation of the rich and powerful, which, may not have gone over too well with the powers that be. So after all these centuries of being lost and debated and rediscovered, why is this book maybe more important now than ever? What is its lasting legacy? This is incredible. The book itself seems to predict its own future. In the opening lines, Enoch says his vision is not for this generation, but for the generation in the distance to come. It's almost spooky. It's like the text knew it was going to have to wait for a future audience to finally rediscover it. And today, its importance is just beyond dispute. Finding fragments of Enoch among the Dead Sea Scrolls, that proved its ancient pre-Christian origins without a doubt. It's quoted word for word in the New Testament. And really the bottom line is this: you simply cannot fully understand the world that gave birth to both Christianity and modern Judaism without this book. And the story of this book's incredible journey is kind of mirrored in the journey of the man who helped bring it to the world. Professor Isaac once said he started his own journey to get an education by riding a mule for 4 days, just to get to high school in Ethiopia. And he ended up at Harvard, and then here at the Library of Congress, sharing this knowledge with all of us. It's just a powerful reminder of how precious wisdom can travel from the most unexpected places. And it all leaves you with this one final, crucial question. The Book of Enoch was preserved for all of humanity in a place many had completely overlooked. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other world-changing texts, what other essential histories are out there right now waiting to be discovered in places we just aren't looking?